Good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome back to Lana's Little Things with me, Dr. Lana, specialist gerontologist, talking all things on living agelessly, bridging those amazing generational gaps, entrepreneurship, because you know how life is, caregiving, that super cape we all tend to put on, with a heart of gold, and yet burns of steel. I just say burns of steel without burning out. How do we get all this done? How do we mesh our lives together in the face of so much change? Well, here's this channel just for you, just for all of us, really, because we all can do with some mutual encouragement, and we're here to talk again. So, whether you are in Caribbean like myself, or as far-reaching as Australia, as I have some dear friends, hi Liz, or those in further flung temperate countries, it is warm here, or if it's starting to cool down where you are, probably not. Just welcome. And I'm still unwell, and thanks to you for wishing me well. I'm still doing some grandmother's concoctions. This is what is this? Chamomile and lavender donuts, along with some other things that we in the Caribbean we just put things in the bowl and we know it's gonna work and it's gonna just get rid of everything. So I'm feeling better. And if you want any of Granny's recipes, just link me down below. Okay. So to keep my voice in fine form, because some of you could not hear me the last time, and I'm so disappointed for that. And making sure you hear me loud and clear now. We're going to discuss something that comes with aging and comes with illness and comes with just the process of, how shall we say, it's not just getting older, it's the whole society and it's the whole realm of what happens as times change, personality changes, group changes, dynamics change, economics change, your whole way of life changes. And do you feel as though my generation, much less those of you in the 60s to 70s to 80s, do you feel as though it's just like one spiral after another, as though this person's gone, or this person just had a stroke, or this person's not well, this person, oh, she's laid up now. Oh, did you hear about so and so? Well, we have that a lot in Caribbean, but I'm certain it's a human thing. So let's talk about frailty, and not in the sense that I'm just frail and I need a stick. I mean, as I always say, 60 is the new 50, and we are aging way better, way stronger. So let's not put a number on our age. Let's not. But let's just be aware that there are things that happen in the process of aging. Aging is not a disease, it is a process. So let us standardize and optimize the process and see where you may fall into that. So my talk for today will be on frailty. And after today, hopefully, we will have some definitions of frailty, and you'd also be able to say in the comments below what aspects of frailty you find are affecting maybe you as a caregiver, the one you're taking care of, you as an older person, and how we can bridge those gaps. Is it like a one size fits all? Will you always be this frail? Can you never get back strong again? Is it just one decline down to the long home, as my mother would call it? Or is there something that we can do? Well, that's a lot of questions, right? So let's start with a nice, neat definition. Frailty, by definition, is a common clinical syndrome. All that means is a whole constellation of combination factors, especially for older adults, and we say 60 to 65 and older, and that carries with them an increased risk of poor health outcomes. So, what are those health outcomes? So, disability, falls. We all know in my family and many families, falls and fall risk have really can really take a toll on you. If you are able to age in place, it will still take a toll. But if you have a family member who's had a significant fracture, breaking the bone, requiring hospitalization, even if they stay in the hospital and they do get better, the whole process of being in hospital, they come out, they feel a little less than themselves. And it seems that the recovery back seems longer. So all that's frailty. So the and not to mention, sadly, there are those who go into hospital and the process through maybe their morbidities, the whole trauma and the their underlying frailty, maybe they have an infection, maybe it was a delay for many, many different reasons. They unfortunately don't survive the hospital stay in order to get home. And that's the reality. And that has been so with so many patients and so many friends in recent times. And so it sounds like all doom and gloom, right? But no, this is not a channel for doom and gloom. No way. We love to see it as it is, but not see it worse than it is. Okay? So let's find out the natural history and look at the subsets of people who will be at risk. And then what new arenas do we have for reducing and treating? Okay, so there's things that we can be done. Just do three. You know, your brain goes one, two, three. And if you find anything that you can think of as I'm talking here, feel free to like and subscribe, press the notification bell, and join me for many, many topics on not just aging, but entrepreneurship, life, caregiving, and join me as well on my website, which we'll talk a little bit more about more, where we can delve into some more really juicy courses where I know you'll find hands-on help for those of you who may feel overwhelmed. So we'll deal with that a little bit later. But frailty. Frailty basically means that it's a combination of, are your bones weaker? Are your muscles weaker? Are you able to get up and go as fast as you were able to? Does race, does gender, do females and males have an advantage? Do males seem to be stronger and less frail? Hmm. Do females seem to be stronger and less frail? Is it a particular ethnic group that seem to be stronger? Among families, does one family member, you have them one family member that seems no matter what, nothing phases them, and they just go on and on and on and on. And then it's like one little twist ankle and it takes out everybody and another person. So it's all variable. What about the transition between these states? The natural history that follows a criteria when you make the criteria that someone is frail. And then how again do we modify what the person is frail, what the person can do, have them diagnosed as frail. So we'll start with the beginning. So frailty essentially is vulnerability. It's your risk of fall. It's your risk of, you're walking and you see the typical older person tottering, tottering. Do we really see that anymore? I don't know if it's braid or what, but I find that our older persons are generally stronger and they walk with more cautious steps. They may have a stick, but they tend not to use it to be just tottering and walking because we are living in a younger, even though older society. Our older persons are recognizing that age is not a disease. Yay. Say that 3 more times. Aging is not a disease. Age is not a disease. It's a process. I hear you loud and clear. So, therefore, you don't always have to be in a rocking chair waiting for the others to come for you, and worse yet, sitting in a waiting room waiting for the Lord to come. No, no. Mm-mm. So, but it is an increased vulnerability. Joints don't work as well. We've spoken about this in some of the other topics. How the joints may not be as mobile. The sinews don't connect, the thickness and the flexibility and the, the bounce back power of your joints and ligaments, they don't move as they did before. Turning your head, it used to be turn, and it was like, huh, you could do this all day long. Another person do this and they can't do it more than twice because the room is going all over the place. Is that you? Things change. So we modify, we go around, and we move on. What's another thing? When last did you have to, uh, well, we always hold the phone, but when last did you have to grip something? Like, really grip something? Did you find that you could only hold it in your hand for a short time and then it just let go? Or is it like you can only hold it with both hands because you feel shaky and your hands can't hold the device anymore? Or even just hold your knife and fork. Do you find that your grip is gone? So, grip is something that we use to assess frailty. It is. What about the speed at which you walk? The time at which you get up from sitting to walking a certain distance and come back. That's timed up and go. We actually measure that. That's tug. I'll put that in the bottom. And you can usually measure that with each other. What about general physical activity? Do you do anything at all? And I'm not saying you need to climb Mount Everest. I always say you're walking around your table. You've heard me say this a gazillion times. Are you using your hands stretched in bed? Are you stretching your legs in bed? Is anyone able to stretch them for you? Can you stretch to the side, stretch to the side? Can you just turn your head to the side safely? Can you bend up and bend down? Any little bit is a help. It is. It's true. What about those of you who are up and around, who may still play sports, who may want to go line dancing? By all means, do so. Wear proper shoes so that you don't ache your feet at the end of the night. What about those who have decided that, I'm just going to stop the exercise, I'm just going to stay home and walk around? Any drastic change in your exercise will change body's your body's going to go confused, like, what are we doing? You're not using these muscles anymore. So sometimes you may find that the body mass that you may have needed to do your exercise when you're dancing, all the ballroom and so on, those muscles may go down. Whereas if you're moving your feet, those muscles may stay fairly okay, and vice versa. So bear in mind, it would help to have like a friend. It doesn't have to be a trainer, but a trainer would be helpful to identify, like, you're getting weaker here, you're getting weaker there, and give you some modifications that you can use so that you can regain some of your strength. I want to say regain your frailty. So the category of frailty defining criteria, according to the study from Women's Health and Aging, is it starts from it starts from low weight loss, because as I said, if you're not exercising, you go there. There's a measurement: exhaustion, to low physical activity, to just slowness, to weakness, and then to just inactivity, really. And then the more we do operate according to that, and the more deficits we accumulate over time, you become in another category called frailty index. That is a whole nother thing now. Is that disability? That's disease. That's memory. That's falls. That's, are you incontinent now? And are you able to just get around and do your normal activities? Do you even remember where you have to go to the supermarket on a daily basis? Who's taking care of your finances? So frailty covers a lot more than just, oh, I can't hold this, or I need a stick. No. And therefore, because of that, we come to the third bit. So we've assessed what it is, we've assessed the risk factors, and we want to think, is there something that can be reversed or at least modified? Now, medicine, we never say never just because, and because just because we can never say never in reverse. It has a time if only. But what we can do is mitigate where we start at each person's level of frailty and say, okay, you're here, you have lost this muscle mass. Would like you to spend like a 6 week or an 8 week. I'm not a physio, but I do see what their training goes through. So we want to build your muscle at this point, or we want to spend another time and build your range of motion. So we want you to move your shoulders, so you don't get stiff shoulders, frozen shoulders. We want you to be able to move your neck, so that you don't get a crick in your neck, and you don't pass out when you turn here and lock off your vessel. Little things like that. We want you to be able to get up out of your chair without thinking, I've got to hold on to the chair 5 and 6 and 7 times before I get up. No. You want your speed of walking not doesn't have to rival the 4 year old, but you do want to be able to keep up. You also want to know, as I've heard this recently, how to fall safely. So there are persons who teach you how to fall. How about being strong enough so that even if you're strong enough so you hold on, so that even if you have to fall, your fall will be less traumatic. But I would say there's a role for learning how to fall well, so that you don't break things. There's another study that where they found the how can I break this one down? Starting with women, women tend to go in these studies. Weakness seems to be one of the more key factors in terms of frailty, and that goes down into muscle strength, and are they going to be able to um, be care in long-term care, and long-term care is going to create even more cost, because long-term care brings with it falls, it brings physiotherapy, it brings being bedridden, it brings not being socially interactive, it brings loss of your peers, it brings depression. Do you see how there's a cascade and we're not just the one thing? So what I wanted to do, I know we are carrying, we're on a little bit, but frailty is just to impress upon you that frailty has so much more components to it. So it's not just the physical structure of the person, the muscles, the bones, but it's also the social construct, the level of loneliness, your gender, your activity, your peer group. Do you want to get out? And why would you want to get out? Who's taking care of you? How are you able to take care of yourself? Hey, I know 19 and 80 year olds, they can chip around and they're driving. So even though we have some factors that will take us down to being mindful of managing how we deal with our older persons, let us never, let us always remember, age is just a process. Frailty has grades, and the more we exercise, interact with each other, be mindful of where we step, how we interact, what we do, all of those will bring us to a place where we can, one, understand each other, younger ones, bridge the gaps, those caregivers. You don't have to do it all on your own. You can actually, there are actually people who can train you and help you to come into the home, and they do, to show you well how to live and how to move, and also encourage persons not to give in to the feeling. It's hard to not want to, you don't feel to move, so you don't feel to move. But the more you don't feel to move, the more you stick up, right? So who wants to do that? So from my heart to yours, Dr. Lana, I hope this has been helpful to you. Share with a friend who you think or their family member is frailing up. You know how that goes. And say, well, just stop here a minute. Um, would you like to go to the beach? Would you like to start doing some pedaling? Would you like to just Move your legs with me. Would you like to just do a Zoom um, where we meet up each other and we just move our hands and legs? Or formally, someone come into the house or train the whole family. We have 1 day session. We have a family day. All of that, the social aspect, the mental aspect, mental health aspect, physical aspect, can't beat it, right? So, from my heart to yours, you're as frail as you're as frail as you think you might be. And yet, you're not as frail as you think you are. So, as I keep recovering from this flu and the little weaky thing that is brought, don't worry. There's always a concoction from grandmother's brew. And you also have your own. Tell me, I'd like to know, what do you find helps when you feel frail, or if you have a loved one who's come out of hospital, the rehabilitation process for them out of their frailty state. There's so much more that can be done. High tide floats all boats. The more we learn, the more we can gain, the more we help each other. From my heart to yours, Dr. Lana, good morning, good evening, good night. Pleasure talking with you. Always a joy. And join me on Lana's Little Things.com. We're really building that out, and there is a whole course there set up very soon for you caregivers, and some other things coming on stream soon. Don't want to spoil the rush for you to access courses, webinars, access Zoom 101. Just talk with me, and let's get this show on the road. Have a great morning, evening, night. Dr. Nana signing out and going to bed. Mwah.